Hello there, thanks for joining me this Monday on 7Edition. I'm Sabrina Zainal and these are your top stories. PAC confirms no money missing from GST refunds. Haziq and 5 others remanded over viral sex video that allegedly involved a minister. And a convenience store child molester nabbed by police. We begin the bulletin today with this story. Haziq Abdullah Abdul Aziz has been remanded until July 20th to assist in police investigations into a sex video he was involved in, allegedly linked to a minister. 5 other individuals, 2 of whom are also PKR members, were also remanded and will be probed under the Penal Code and the Communications and Multimedia Act. Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Abdul Hamid Badoor said yesterday that the police had identified those behind the distribution of the clips. The penalty under the Penal Code is a jail term of up to 20 years and whipping, while the Communications and Multimedia Act carries a punishment of up to 50,000 ringgit or a maximum of a year in jail or both if found guilty. Meanwhile, in the Temerloh Sessions Court in Pahang, a 33-year-old man was charged this morning for stabbing his younger sister with a knife. The accused, Muhammad Rizal Suman, pleaded not guilty after the charge was read out to him before Judge Azwar Cik Yusof. The incident occurred in broad daylight at the Temerloh Kuala Krau main road last Thursday. Prior to the incident, the suspect had a quarrel with his mother, which sent her fleeing after the suspect threatened to kill her. The suspect then ordered the 31-year-old victim, Samsidar Suman, to remain in the house, but she too tried to flee out of fear for her safety, which prompted Muhammad Rizal to chase after her sister and stab her on the right thigh. The accused was allowed bail of 10,000 ringgit pending mention of the case on August 15th. Now, police detained a man who allegedly molested a 9-year-old girl at a convenience store in Bandar Country Homes, Rawang, last Wednesday. The suspect, an Indonesian laborer, was picked up at Country Homes area earlier today. Gombak Police Chief ACP Samsur Ma'ruf said police also seized the clothing that was worn by the suspect during the alleged incident. Preliminary investigations found that the suspect did not possess any identification documents. Now, the alleged incident occurred at 6:19 p.m. last Friday when the victim was at the convenience store with her mother. Yesterday's CCTV footage that went viral on social media showed the man hugging the girl from behind before performing the indecent act. The case is being investigated under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act. Police detained 5 people, including 2 Iranian men and a Vietnamese woman, and seized drugs worth over 1.4 million ringgit. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Sri Mazlan Lazim said all the suspects, aged from 24 to 46, were detained during police operations in the city on Thursday and Friday. During the operation at both locations, police seized heroin, shabu and ketamine, as well as some cash, pistols and ammunition.
Tapi dia ni memang tempat high class punya. That's why dia orang ni pakai kereta mewah, duduk di kondominium mewah. Jadi dia memang high class punya. Jadi dia bukannya macam jual macam dia orang ni terus pergi. Dia orang pergi, contohnya pergi berjumpa dengan orang. If you want, I can bring it. Macam tu.
Initial investigations showed that one of the suspects had been living in the country since 25 years ago and was believed to be working as a property agent. All the suspects have been remanded for further investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act, which carries the death penalty upon conviction. Meanwhile, the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, has confirmed that no money is missing from the Goods and Services Tax GST refunds. Its chairman, Datuk Nuraini Ahmad, said that the GST refunds were used to pay for the government's management and development expenditure instead. In a statement today, the PAC said that the previous government had overestimated the net GST collection at a rate of 65% from the actual GST collection. She added that the then government had collected the money and kept it in the consolidated revenue account and then transferred it stage by stage as decided by the GST Refund Repayment Committee when it was needed. However, Datuk Nur Aini stated this was not in line with the GST Act. She added that the policy to transfer 35% from the total GST collection every year from the Consolidated Fund to the Federal Consolidated Fund when it is needed was not enough to cover the requests for GST refunds. Based on the statements during the proceedings, the PAC feels that the rate should be set to at least 42%. Last August, Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng told the Dewan Rakyat that the 19.4 billion ringgit was missing. Lim claimed that the former government had not been able to refund companies their credit tax from GST because 93% of the money had not been placed in the correct account. The PAC began its investigation proceeding on the matter on August 15, 2018, and took 11 months to complete the report. Elsewhere in Putrajaya, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was also asked to comment on the findings by the PAC on the GST refunds.
Apa komentar PAC punya finding hari ini?
PAC ke PAT ke? PAC.
Public Accounts Committee.
Oh, ini.
Bahawa wang GST itu tidak hilang, dia tidak urus.
Yalah, kalau dia kata tak hilang, kita tak tengoklah duit dia ada di mana. Kalau kita dapat jumpa balik duit tu, dia tak hilang lah. Kalau kita tak jumpa, dia hilang.
In the meantime, several opposition members of parliament have demanded that the finance minister be referred to the Rights and Privileges Committee over his claim that the GST refund money was stolen by the previous government. Opposition leader Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this during the Dewan Rakyat debate session as Lim's remark had tarnished the image of the previous government.
Wang tuntutan bayaran balik GST telah dirompak oleh kerajaan yang lepas. Di dalam penyata PAC yang dibentangkan hari ini, jelas dari segi keputusan PAC menyatakan bahawa tidak ada kehilangan wang ataupun tidak ada wang yang dirompak seperti yang dituduh oleh Yang Berhormat Bagan. Dengan ini, Yang Berhormat Bagan telah pun mengelirukan Dewan ini dan pihak pembangkang ingin menggunakan Peraturan 36/12 untuk merujuk Yang Berhormat Bagan ke Jabatan Kuasa Hak dan Kebebasan.
Rembau MP Khairi Jamaluddin, who supported Datuk Sri Ismail's call, also said a decision on the motion should be expedited due to the urgency of the matter. In another development, the PAC will summon several ministries, government departments and agencies over the findings of the Auditor General's Report 2018, which was released today. Datuk Nur Aini said those who would be summoned to explain the discrepancies highlighted in the report included the Prime Minister's Office, Finance Ministry and Education Ministry.
Dan Jawatankuasa akan menetapkan juga tarikh untuk semua prosiding ini dan saya nak menasihatkan juga semua KSU supaya hadir apabila dipanggil PAC dan jika tak boleh hadir disebabkan kekangan dari segi tugasan yang lainnya, kita harapkan mereka menghantar surat rasmi dan untuk memberikan tarikh yang baru untuk hadir di hadapan PAC.
She added the PMO would be questioned on its socio-economic development of the Indian Community Unit, now known as the Malaysian Indian Transformation Unit. Also will be called in are the Finance Ministry and the Customs Department, the Home Ministry, Health Ministry, as well as the Communications and Multimedia Ministry. Now, 34 out of 54 ministries, departments and federal statutory bodies have attained an excellent level in financial management for 2018. Auditor General Datuk Nik Azman Nik Abdul Majid said today from the 54 bodies audited, 14 ministries, departments and statutory bodies were graded good, followed by satisfactory, 5, and unsatisfactory, 1. Commenting on the findings in the AG's Report 2018 Series 1 tabled in Parliament today, Datuk Nick Azman revealed that for financial management at the state level, 83 ministries, departments and agencies achieved excellent level, followed by good 69, satisfactory 26, less satisfactory 13 and unsatisfactory 2. On the audit performance of programs, activities, government projects at federal and state levels, several weaknesses were highlighted by the Auditor General, which include delays in the supply of equipment, abandoned construction projects or falling behind schedule, improper payment cases, weak contract administration, as well as inefficient management of government assets. The number of recommendations were also made to enable corrective action and improvement by the ministries, departments, and federal statutory bodies at the federal and state levels. Up next, Hong Kong protest turns ugly as shopping mall turns into battleground. We'll be right back. We're back with foreign news. At least 2 people were killed and hundreds were evacuated after a major 7.3 magnitude earthquake hit Indonesia's North Maluku province on Sunday. The tremor comes after a 6.9 magnitude that hit the same province last week, but no extensive damage or casualties were reported. For more details on the story, let's go to my fellow producer, Prita Manivanan, for the updates.
Thank you, Sabrina. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the 7.3 magnitude tremor hit about 165 kilometers south-southwest of the town of Tanut in North Maluku province at 6:28 p.m. local time. The strong earthquake even damaged some homes, causing panicked residents to flee to temporary shelters. Fortunately, Indonesia's National Disaster Agency said the land-based earthquake did not have any potential to cause a tsunami. Now, if you look here in the South Halmahera district, which is the closest area to the epicenter, around 160 houses collapsed when the quake struck. Hundreds of people are still sheltering in several schools, government buildings, and also higher grounds. Now, it was reported that the aftershocks are still happening frequently, making people still traumatized from the situation, and they're yet to return to their homes. Indonesian Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics Agency said until Monday morning, at least 52 aftershocks have been recorded after the initial quake. Local government officials have started to distribute logistics and food for the evacuees. A little bit background here. Last year, a 7.5 magnitude quake and a subsequent tsunami in Palu on Sulawesi Island killed more than 2,200 people, with another 1,000 declared missing. That's all the updates I have for you now. Back to you, Sabrina.
Thank you, Preetha, for those updates. Now, over in the U.S., President Donald Trump took aim at progressive Democratic Congresswomen, telling them to go back where they came from, in remarks that sparked yet another firestorm of protest over his views on race and immigration. Trump has now been officially branded as a racist and a xenophobe by senior Democrats over his latest remarks. On Sunday, Trump referred on Twitter to progressive Democrat congresswomen in remarks that appeared to be aimed at a group of outspoken and relatively young liberal women of color, all first-time members of the House of Representatives. These include Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts. Trump did not identify the targets of his comments by name, but tweeted that they originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt, and inept anywhere in the world. He also accused the women of viciously telling the people of the U.S., the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how the government is to be run, following his comment in exact words, quote, "Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came?" End quote. Meanwhile, in Hong Kong, luxurious mall turned into a fierce battleground as riot police and protesters fought running battles on Sunday. This in its latest ongoing political crisis, which saw 37 arrests and at least 28 people needing hospital treatment after both activists and officers were injured in the violence. Violence broke out briefly in the afternoon after a rally in Sha Tin district as protesters seized a junction and built barricades, causing an hours-long standoff with riot police. But the worst clashes happened late evening inside the shopping mall, where hundreds of protesters fled after police moved on the barricades and then charged into the shopping complex. Once inside, chaos erupted as police found themselves pelted from above. Police used pepper spray and batons against small groups of demonstrators, who responded by hurling umbrellas, bottles, and other projectiles. The officers then charged up to higher floors and made multiple arrests. By 10 p.m. local time, most protesters had left the area. Hong Kong has been rocked by more than a month of huge, largely peaceful protests, as well as a series of separate violent confrontations with police, sparked by a law that would have allowed extraditions to mainland China and other countries. Last month, Parliament was trashed by hundreds of masked youth-led protesters in unprecedented scenes. Now let's head on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. With the growing number of UFO enthusiasts volunteering to storm Area 51, swirled with an avalanche of memes with the hashtag Area 51 on Twitter, the Pentagon seems to be worried that some might actually show up. The event, scheduled for September 20th as of now, has over 1 million people going and nearly 900,000 others interested in staging a mass raid on the secretive U.S. government base. But by the looks of how the hashtag has taken over Twitter, it leaves us all wondering that perhaps this is all just a joke. In response to the viral event, the U.S. Air Force took the potential threat to the Nevada base seriously, with its spokesperson Laura McAndrews saying she would like to discourage anyone from trying to come into the area where they train American armed forces. In the meantime, Twitter is flooded with a comical stream of memes, with people sharing how they would take part in the raid, drawing up mock battle plans, and predicting how they'd prepare to answer if the attendees actually decide to storm a heavily guarded U.S. military base. The event, titled Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop Us, has attracted so much attention recently, with exact time and location even included. The details of the event is simple. Meet up at Area 51 Alien Center tourist attraction and see them aliens. The secret base has long fascinated UFO fans who believe it is the final resting place of an alien spacecraft that crash-landed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. On to business. Malaysia will submit a complaint to the World Trade Organization WTO by November this year to challenge the European Union's restrictions on palm biofuel. Primary Industries Minister Teresa Kok said documents related to the complaint are currently with the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC. According to the minister, the AGC is now assisting the government to identify some experts who can argue the case with the WTO. Kok mentioned that the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries will hold a ministerial meeting with Indonesia to discuss the issue. When asked whether Malaysia would go at it alone if Indonesia is not interested in submitting a joint complaint to the international body, she said strategically it would be good for both countries to do it together. Now, China's economic growth slowed to 6.2% in the second quarter, its weakest pace in at least 27 years. This as demand at home and abroad faltered in the face of mounting U.S. trade pressure. The slowing economy makes it more difficult for President Xi Jinping to fight back forcefully against Washington, which is using tariffs as leverage to try to force Beijing into opening up its economy. The 6.2% figure released by the National Bureau of Statistics was in line with a survey of analysts by AFP and down from a 6.4% expansion in the first quarter. The GDP figures are within the government's target range of 6.0 to 6.5% for the whole year, down from the 6.6% growth China put up in 2018. Monetary easing is expected to help boost the economy, and the central bank on Monday finalized a previously announced cut to the amount of cash that small and medium-sized banks hold in reserve. Now, FBM-KLCI ended the day in a positive territory, adding 2.9 points to close higher at 1,672 points. The benchmark index rebounded to end the day's high amid the lingering overbought conditions since the previous week. On to stocks to watch. We have the blue chips on our radar today. DG.com Berhad's valuation seems a little stretched at current levels. Its share price has been on an upward trend following news of potential merger with Axiata Berhad in May. Forward dividend yields are not looking attractive enough to warrant an entry amid downside risk from the prepaid segment. Definitely a sell. Top Glove Corporation Berhad, being the world's largest glove producer by capacity, is set to benefit from the global glove demand, which is expected to rise by up to 10% annually. The current strong USD versus ringgit will also benefit the glove maker in terms of higher price competitiveness. Attractive stock, definitely a buy. And last but not least, Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB saw a sharp price decline after the government announced a proposal to liberalize electricity retail early this month. However, a re-rating of share price is expected to levels that better reflect TNB's earnings stability as concerns over reforms eventually dissipate. Time to buy the stock.